You don't feel cruddy on Mondays because you overindulged in calories. My mitochondria have been severely harmed by a weekend of poor sleep, poor eating, and terrible decision-making. It's likely that you have experienced it as well. Snacking later at night, sleeping in, late dinners, and possibly a few drinks. I take it you've been through it? Even though you slept, you wake up on Monday feeling bloated, hungry, exhausted, your blood sugar is elevated, and your cravings are overwhelming. And you immediately assume that I've destroyed my diet. I overindulged in food. Either this or the seed oils were to blame. In actuality, it was most likely unrelated to your caloric intake. High-calorie intake can undoubtedly cause problems, but it was definitely more serious than that. Your mitochondria are puzzled. This phenomenon is known as metabolic jet lag. It's crucial that you understand how it operates, because I'll also discuss what is likely the worst thing you can do following a weekend like that. This is what can cause you to accumulate visceral fat more quickly than you would anticipate. After outlining all the basic science, I'll discuss that. We'll start by discussing the metabolic effects of a rough weekend. It's also meant to assist you understand why you feel the way you do on Mondays, not to frighten you. Next, we'll discuss how meal timing alone can alter insulin resistance even when sleep and caloric intake are equal. Thirdly, we will examine the effects of light exposure on blood sugar and cortisol. Fourth, I will discuss a particular type of fasting that I myself employ on Mondays in order to recuperate swiftly. We should probably discuss how to improve the way your cells use glucose in the first place before discussing how I feel better on Monday. Additionally, I suggest something called C15 from Fatty 15. I've included a link below. It is a supplemental form of C15 fatty acid. Furthermore, C15 is the kind of fat found in hard cheeses, goat cheese, and Sardinian cheeses. Numerous studies have demonstrated that these C15 fats can actually make our cells more rigid and less flexible, pliable, and malleable. This is a good thing because when our cells have a phospholipid bilayer, which is a softer membrane made of fats, the fats in that membrane oxidize, leading to high levels of oxidative stress and other problems. Cell stiffness is therefore crucial when addressing metabolic problems and perhaps insulin resistance. That link below is for C15, but I also want you to learn how it operates since it's fascinating research. The Navy has financed a lot of it, and it's really legitimate. That URL can be found below. Social clock against biological clock. But on Monday, let's make you feel better. You have two clocks, all right? Your cells contain a biological clock, but you also have a social clock that is influenced by your schedule, late nights, regular meals, and other things. You actually cause metabolic jet lag when those don't line up, exactly like when you fly. One study examined a phenomenon known as social jet lag. Comparable, essentially the same thing. Examined 501 individuals. All right, so they discovered that people become fatigued due to a straightforward mismatch between their internal circadian timing and their actual timetables. They were more susceptible to obesity, insulin resistance, and cardioembolic dysfunction, and their metabolic and mitochondrial health was compromised. Thus, this is genuine. Because time is just as important as duration, you can sleep for 8 hours and still have poor metabolic recovery. And for that reason, even after a long night's sleep, Monday mornings are terrible. Your muscles, adipose tissue, liver, and mitochondria all appear to have distinct schedules. As a result, energy management becomes extremely inefficient and glucose handling is compromised. As a result, your appetite grows and, worst of all, your recuperation declines. If you keep an eye on it, you'll undoubtedly find that working out on Monday after such a weekend makes you more sore. And that's just when your recuperation fails miserably. Your food schedule is one of the most powerful signals your body employs to establish metabolic clocks. Your liver anticipates storing glycogen, your muscles anticipate glucose, and your mitochondria anticipate using fuel. Therefore, you are sending inconsistent signals if you alter that by eating late at night, eating irregularly, or even just snacking on the weekends. And a research that was published in Diabetes makes this very evident. It examined circadian misalignment in healthy persons. Additionally, they slightly altered the schedule of their sleep while maintaining the same length of sleep. Alright, so in comparison to the circadian-aligned group, they discovered that insulin resistance and inflammation doubled. I'll say it again. Much poorer metabolism, different timing, and the same amount of sleep. Therefore, your body is concerned not just with what you consume, but also with when you eat. We pay too much attention to what we eat. This, in my opinion, is sometimes the reason why you suddenly feel more hungry and your blood sugar climbs much more easily after a rough weekend. Your tissues are out of sync if you're flat out. All right? You will set up regular eating windows again right away. 8 to 10 hours of eating windows every day then. On Monday, you will anchor breakfast early and refrain from eating right before bed. Okay, so Mondays won't be your regular fasting days. And since the fasting approach is crucial in this situation, I'll return to it soon. However, you have breakfast on Mondays. However, this is where things start to become really interesting. Our cortisol is regulated by light. In a PNAS study, participants were placed on what they called a forced circadian misalignment schedule, which resulted in a shift in time, but a constant sleep duration. They discovered that in this instance, the cortisol cycle totally flipped. Insulin increased by 22%, glucose climbed by 6%, and sleep efficiency decreased by 20%. It fluctuated from high in the morning and high at night. Additionally, even in otherwise healthy individuals, some people's post-meal glucose reactions approached pre-diabetic levels. Thus, the same sleep was experienced, albeit at a different time. The way this works is that cortisol typically rises in the morning to wake you up, then gradually begins to decline. At night, it declines significantly to allow you to fall asleep. Cortisol is shifted later in the evening by late-night light. Even if we know it's wrong, we still tend to do it, even though it's not really difficult. Thus, cortisol is elevated while insulin ought to be the predominant hormone. Join our diabetes health community and take control of your health with confidence. By hitting subscribe and like, you'll receive daily, easy-to-follow health solutions focused on blood sugar control, healthy habits, and long-term wellness. Stay informed, stay empowered, and move toward a healthier, more balanced life, one smart step at a time. Additionally, as I've shown in previous videos, taking cortisol and insulin at the same time is bad. This disrupts the metabolism of fat and glucose. You may store visceral fat literally 3 to 4 times more quickly as a result. Light exposure on Monday is the easy solution for this category. You want to obtain morning sunlight as soon as possible. All right? Even if it means a little sleep deprivation, try to get up early. All right? An intensive Monday nighttime light decrease. The Monday playbook is crucial. All right? Additionally, there is this aspect of mitochondrial misunderstanding. This is crucial since, once again, eating too many calories isn't the only reason you feel worn out after a rough weekend. That should theoretically give you greater energy. It's more about the total confusion of your mitochondria. Clock genes regulate the circadian rhythm that powers your mitochondria. One study examined what are known as per-pair clock genes. These control the activity of mitochondrial enzymes. Therefore, under typical circumstances, the mitochondria alternate between fuels throughout the day. Thus, glucose at some periods and fat at others. Thus, we are in fact more productive at certain times. However, when clock genes were interfered with, fuel switching ceased, energy efficiency drastically decreased, and our metabolic flexibility was lost. Thus, you caused harm to the mitochondria. In other words, your body basically stops burning fat and carbohydrates. Mondays are therefore the worst days for fat accumulation and energy. It's the actual lack of vitality you experience on Mondays. And it's one of the causes of your Monday mood swings. It goes beyond simple laziness. It's not calories. It's genuine desynchronization at its most profound. Once more significant than calories. As I mentioned earlier, the worst thing you can do is to eat a lot of fats and carbohydrates on Monday. Why is this so awful? It's known as metabolic gridlock. Metabolic deadlock. Your mitochondria are already perplexed about when to eat. Slow mitochondrial oxidation is necessary for fat. Fast oxidation is necessary for glucose. Neither is effectively digested when both arrive at the same time when circadian enzymes are already out of alignment. Insulin rises as a result of glucose remaining elevated. Increased fat storage leads to the formation of visceral fat in particular because glucose levels are also elevated. This is why the worst thing to do after a rough weekend would be to have a cheat meal on Monday night. However, few people consume cheat meals on Mondays. They simply act in this way without giving it any thought. For example, you might have a small amount of both fat and carbohydrates. The only day you should keep those apart is Monday. To better synchronize those circadian cues, I would suggest consuming your fats earlier in the day and your carbohydrates later in the evening. I've probably covered enough topics to make you feel queasy to the point where you want to eat carbohydrates in the evening to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which facilitates easier sleep. Fatty cuts of meat, fat, and protein in the morning, and carbs and lean protein at night. Now, Monday is not the day for the fasting plan that I would advise. Recall that breakfast is served on Mondays. I would like you to fast the next day. Thus, Tuesdays are ideal for fasting. Mondays are about re-establishing circadian rhythm, which is why I propose that. In any case, it's likely that things were moved to the weekends. You eat later at night and in the morning. Don't use fasting on Monday to strengthen that habit. Eat your usual breakfast on Monday. You should fast on Tuesday. I advise you to fast for at least 18 hours on Tuesday. All right? In this instance, forget about the 16-hour fast. Spend 18 to 20 hours. And you're going to give yourself permission to have a calorie deficit on this day. All right? Allow yourself to fast, and when you do break your fast, don't overindulge. By eating on Monday and then realigning and cutting calories on Tuesday, you can reduce inflammation and somewhat improve your circadian cues at the same time. You could really have breakfast on Tuesday, fast the remainder of the day, and engage in what's known as time-restricted feeding if you truly wanted to double it down. However, not everyone enjoys doing that. Having a family is challenging. However, I will admit that, at least in terms of circadian rhythm, it's definitely one of the best methods to fast. And the literature reflects that. I have just produced another video called Fasting Strategy That Reduced Visceral Fat, which explains a fasting method that actually reduces visceral fat by 33%. That's a terrific fasting method if you're searching for something different, and this link will take you to a fascinating video that explains exactly how it works. I'll see you in the upcoming video as always.